Hello, what's going on, everybody? It's Mike.
It's Dan.
It's Yi.
Hope you're having a fantastic Friday. This is one of my worst fears.
Which is?
Which is the story we're talking about next, but laying there, incapacitated, but still able to hear and see everything. But you can't move. You're kind of paralyzed.
You're trapped in your own body.
Right. You ever had that sensation before when you just woke up and then you cannot move?
Really?
You ever had that? It's called sleep paralysis.
No way.
Yeah.
You've had that?
I've had that. Where you're like, ugh, ugh.
I've had that once or twice in my life when I was
What?
younger. Yeah, once or twice in my life. Usually in the middle of a dream and I wake up and I can't move.
I've
Yeah.
never had that. I'd be like,
Because
I'm
when
paralyzed.
you're dreaming,
Yeah.
there's some chemical that pumps through your body that
Yeah.
prevents you from moving, so that you don't hurt yourself.
Right. Okay.
So that's why the sleep paralysis thing.
Oh,
But
man.
to hear and see everything around you, but can't do anything, and then hear somebody say, "We're gonna give up on this person.
Yeah.
Let's pull the plug," which is exactly what happened here in this story.
So basically, a girl was in a really, really horrendous car accident with her boyfriend, and she broke 4 bones in her neck. She had to undergo surgery right away, and the doctors were like, "She's brain dead. Like, she is brain dead," and the doctor told the family to prepare for the worst. In other words, your daughter's gonna die. She's brain dead, and we're gonna pull the plug on her. So when they were about to do that, they saw the girl's toe start wiggling, and then the doctors are like, "All right, let's conduct more tests."
They wipe something. They do 3 tests before they pull the plug. They can't just pull the plug. They have to ensure that she's 100% brain dead. And apparently none of the tests they did before worked. Like she didn't respond to anything until the very last moment. I think they swiped something like an icy cold swab or something on her toe, and then she wriggled her toe. And then if they had done that one moment later, they would have just pulled the plug.
Yeah.
So she was just, I guess it was just arranged, or she was meant to live.
Right.
Because that was just so wildly inconceivable. Everyone's like, how could she possibly have come back to life? She didn't pass any of the tests.
Right.
3 rounds of tests. She was like, no, she's brain dead.
And
but then yay. And then a couple weeks later, she's walking.
Yeah, not only that, exactly, but now she's still half of the brain, they said, doesn't work.
Yeah, it died.
It died. But she was so resilient that with the other half of the brain, she learned how to talk and walk again. Which is like, I mean, like, you're basically dead, or pronounced legally dead, or whatever it is, the definition that you have, to going back to being alive. And I'm just happy for the family, because this is something that you wish anytime. I've never had a situation where a loved one was in a coma, right? But I could just imagine what the family is going through when they're in a coma, and that, that choice between pulling the plug and then waiting. And for this family, it paid off.
Right.
And it doesn't happen. It's really, really rare. Most of the time, they keep people on life support until they have to take them off. But in this case, a miracle happened.
This is a real ghost dad moment. Do you get that reference?
No, not at all.
Do you get that reference?
You talking about the movie Ghost Dad?
Ghost dad.
But from the 80s?
Yeah.
No, is it
90s.
old? 90s.
Like, we don't know what happens when people are in a
Right.
coma. We don't know what happens. Like, I was kind of imagining, like, maybe she had this whole journey and then came back to the body just in time, like, before they pulled the plug.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. I'm just kind of imagine that in my head.
That's funny, because I was thinking there's just several options. One is that they're trapped in their body, which I think is not true, because a lot of people are like, oh, maybe they can hear you. They could probably hear you, but I don't think they feel trapped in their body. My feeling is that they're probably gone somewhere and they're in another plane.
Yes.
Am I out there? Because
No, not at all.
like when you see these death scenes and the guy, for example, in that movie, Bruce Almighty, like, he gets hit by the car and then he's in a coma or something like that, but he actually goes to another plane and then he comes back.
Or a dimension or something.
And that's when he comes back to life.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, regardless of what that journey was, it was a success because she made it back.
She made it back.
And she stopped herself, from her body from actually being dead.
She said, I can't remember the crash, but I know I was coming home at the time. Okay.
She was on her way home.
Right,
I think.
and then I think she just woke up, so I don't think she remembers.
Well, no one remembers anything.
Right.
In any movie where a person wakes up, they never
don't
remember
remember.
anything.
Okay.
Yeah, it would make sense because the brain is traumatized.
Yeah, I mean, I think she could have still been, conscious in another plane or
that's
dimension.
what I'm saying. Whatever
Yeah.
you go through when you're spiritual plane.
Right.
I mean, we believe in this stuff, but like whenever you go, you don't remember it because maybe it's just like you're not meant to remember it.
Right.
I just kind of think in my head maybe she went through
Some
something like
people
that.
remember that though.
Few
people,
Few.
yeah. They'll describe like the
like
outer
there's-
body experience.
There's a doctor who wrote a book.
Oh,
He was an
Microsoft.
avid atheist. and he didn't believe any of this stuff. So he himself had a near-death experience where he was in a coma for like I forget however many days, and he just woke up but he remembered, he's like, I remember going to another plane. I did a video about this. I remember this guy, but then he's like, he detailed his journey when he was in a coma, like he went to these places, and he remembered a little bit of it. So he wrote this book. He's like advocate for the near-death experiences and out-of-body experiences. He's not an atheist anymore.
Right. He's a spiritual guy now.
I mean, she didn't have that experience, but luckily
you don't know that.
Well, yeah, well, she hasn't told people yet.
Or she doesn't remember, and that's one thing. I'm like, maybe I don't know if people can hear you when they're in a coma. I mean, it helps, which means I'm like, there's definitely some kind of connection, because you hear these stories where you talk to someone in a coma and they start showing signs of life or something, or you sit by them every day, and it does have effect. But when they wake up, they don't remember anything. So I don't know. And another thing I feel like is really interesting about the story is that they said that the part of the brain that she lost, that's the part of the brain that everyone uses the most. But the part of the brain that normally people don't use, she was able to, because that part of her brain died, she actually was able to use that part of her brain, which just goes to show how amazing the human brain is. Like, part of it could die and the other part could learn all of its capacities.
We don't know basically anything about the human brain. We really don't know. So like a lot of people
know,
figure it out, but we really don't know. But this is a pretty interesting story, and glad it turned out well. And let us know your thoughts on this and the whole near-death experience. Thanks for watching.
Bye.